I fucked up, and I did the one thing that, oh, and so again, I had to let myself out of my fucking ego. Guys, so this energy, huh? I've been going through it, just like all of you, I'm sure, and a lot of healing has been going on in regards to just some tea here. A lot of healing in regards to. It was weird. I looked at the tree and it looked like somebody was coming out of the. Anyway, a lot of healing in regards to like my past, I guess. Past things that I hold myself accountable for, things that I'm still guilty for. I felt guilty for. One in particular was a relationship with the love of my life. It's actually my daughter's father. Things didn't end the way they should have. And I like how I start talking about this and those little bells go off. Synchronicities. But we didn't really end things. We were both really young. My father got sick, and he was very sick. And I ran. I ran from everything. I ran from my family. I ran from my father dying. I ran. And it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that that was who I was when the beings that I loved the most needed me the most. And it was a lot of accepting, you know. Yeah, I did that. I left when humans that I loved more than I loved myself needed me the most. I ran. My father was sick and he was dying, and I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't. And he never let me, after he passed, I was very connected with him, energetic-wise. He never let me, beat myself up about that. But that didn't stop the people that were left here from reminding me that I fucked up. And I did the one thing that, as a Libra, I shouldn't have done. And from leaving, like I did, it has been over 7 years since I've actually sat down and spoken with this human for the things that I did or I didn't do from leaving. I left. I just left. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I just left. And it really took me a lot to admit that and to come to terms with that. And so since my last video to now, I have really, really, really been trying to transmute through these energies. And it has been an experience, by the time I was finally done, I'm seeing butterflies fly around. Growth, expansion, coming out of the cocoon into something you're supposed to be. Anyways, synchronicities, what's up, universe? I finally sat down and I wrote a letter to this incredible human being, and I just spilled my heart, and I'm in the middle of writing the letter and I'm just bawling, and just all of these emotions that, I might cry now, all of these emotions that I have avoided. I didn't even deal with them. I didn't deal with them. My father dying, losing the love of my life, in the midst of that, leaving my family. I didn't deal with that. I drank and I partied and I traveled and I told myself I was working, but I didn't deal with it. And coming into, and now I see dragonfly, this is so crazy. Now coming into where I'm at now, spiritually, it's like, wow. I can't take back anything that I did or didn't do, or what they may have gone through because of the choices I made and the snowball effect of events that happened after the choices that I made. But wow, looking back on it, I'm not the only one that's a better human being from this. We all are. And whether they see that now or not, it's okay, because the equinox, first off, okay, we're talking about that energy for a minute, but it's an inevitable realization that will happen at some point. And so I'm just here leaving space for the beings that I've reached out to, that I have apologized to, that I'm trying to fix things with. You know, forgiving me isn't necessarily for me if they could see the growth that comes from that forgiveness within. And I guess I've just been holding my breath, hoping that something would come from it, and it hasn't. And it's been hard for me to let go of it. First off, it was so hard for me to pour my heart like that, you know. I'm Libra, but I'm very protective. You know, my Scorpios and Venus. So it's sometimes the communication for me is a little hard for me to get across without it being maybe, you know, stinging with my words. And I let go. I just let my soul take over. And I had to let go again today and realize that in doing that, that was my part of letting go. Like, that was me. I've let go. I have exerted like as much energy as I can into that situation, and I have to let it go. But I let myself fall into ego. And I'm like, why is there no response? Why am I being, you know, well, is that leaving space? No, that's not. It's not leaving space. What it's doing is saying, oh, I leave space for you so long as you do it within the time frame that I want. No, that's ego, and I had to pull myself out of that. So today has been a nice day for me to realize that I was holding on to that with ego, and then I had to really be truthful with myself and realize, like, there was no place for ego in this situation, because there were parts where all of us messed up. You know, there were multiple players in this game, if you will, but I played a huge part in that. I was the forerunner for the beginning of all these events happening, and I avoided it, and I avoided my responsibilities of being a good human being and being, you know, authentic and saying, I'm so sorry that I did this to you. And so again, I had to let myself out of my fucking ego and realize that I've done my part in that, and that I need to let go. And I also found myself in my ego because, you know, in judgment, you know, it's how we protect ourselves. You know, when you give yourself fully like that, when you're hi, I messed up, I'm sorry, this is my fault, and you give yourself to a human being like this, knowing full well they have received the message, and then you see them, you know, on their social media posting and doing whatever, and it hits your heart. And so the first thing that any of us do, whether we're spiritually minded or not, is we go into ego. Okay, I was living through my heart, and I shared this, I poured my heart to you, and I got ego back. And by ego, I got ignored. And it was especially frustrating because one of the people that I reached out to, that this really was, for me, it was a healing part from my heart to say sorry to this person, because I did feel we were friends. And this person's very spiritually forward. You know, they advocate, you know, self-love and loving each other and forgiveness. There's a huge advocation for forgiveness. And then I went across through my heart chakra and trusted that social media posting and gave myself to this person, and I got nothing back in return, knowing full well that they saw it. And I went into my ego a little bit, and I was a little hurt, you know, and then I had to step out of ego, and spirit had to be like, hey, that's okay. They're not ready to let go. Something about that situation, they need to hold on to that pain. They need to hold on to that negative, dense energy. It has not taught them what they need to learn. And when I was able to go in from that aspect, like going out the front door and coming back in kind of the back, like looking at it from a different perspective, looking at the house a different way, going into your house and looking at it a different way, going in from the back of the mind and coming in through the front, or whatever way works for you, I was able to see that I hadn't fully let go. Even though I had reached out and apologized, there was still that energy. I'm still harboring that energy somewhere for them to reciprocate it with that energy. Even if it is ignoring, it is still that dense negative energy. I hope I'm explaining this right. I get it. Anyways, so that's where I've been. I really had to let go of those things and just send back that egoic response that I received from them and send them love. So that's what I'm doing. and I'm leaving space for them, and I'm hoping that, you know, maybe these people will come back around. But it's sometimes, even if they're spiritually minded, they still can't live what they preach, and that sucks, but that happens too, you know, and that's just because they haven't fully reached that five-dimensional consciousness yet. You know, they're almost there, but it's just not the default mode for them. So seeing that that was a trigger for me was an eye-opening thing, in that I realized that I thought that the five-dimensional consciousness was my default mode, but I was able to get put into older timelines by my own ego, by frustration, and so that let me know that I am still not fully on that default mode, and so I'm back focusing on myself. You know, I've spoken my piece, I've done what I need to do, and I'm back on my game and my focus, and I'm not worried about it, you know, and it is what it is. And yeah, that was a fun lesson, I guess. And I just wanted to share that with you guys and check in and say hey, and just don't forget that you are source creator. You know, we find ourselves falling into old patterns that don't actually apply to us anymore, and we are source creator. So create the fucking reality that you want, and don't let yourself fall into old patterns like I did, where I was focusing on things that didn't matter. They were old paradigms, they're old timelines, they happened, they're done. By saying what you need to say, you have to be able to set that there and walk away. You've said what you need to say, that energy is there, you're leaving that energy there, and you're done. And that was kind of the lesson for me since the last post. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you guys have a happy equinox. The energy's crazy. Just if you feel a certain type of way and your energy's been pretty calm, try to find what that energy is, go within, and realize that a lot of the energies that we're picking up are directed at us and they're not ours. So, you know, send in love and light, and keep fucking Namaslaying, because we're out here, family, and we're doing it. We're fucking doing it.